system, get it done. But then what happens is tomorrow, June 1st, it restarts again. So you have another 30 days, and they pay you each week. So imagine the next week you signed up 8 services at 16 points, you would have made $400. If it was 11 services, 22 points, you make $600, and they pay you the following week. This is where these bonuses, upfront bonuses, are very powerful. But remember, what you're building on the back end is the residual income, the 4% of your team, and the other 20% on yourself. So I love the way the system is perfectly balanced. Okay? Now, if you're a leader, you do your homework. What does that mean? That means if you're going to get confused, so are your prospects. Okay? You got to learn about the products and the market that you're in, because here's what we've learned. Every state and every province is different. You know, right now I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. What we have here, for example, is very different than Texas, which is very different than what's in New York, which is very different than what's in Canada. And what's in Ontario is very different than what's in Alberta. That's what's in BC. So you've got to learn. If you're going to be getting customers, you have to know the state or province that you're trying to acquire the customers, who the partners are in those places, okay? And then what's the value that we bring once they fill out a customer survey or you're able to find out what they're paying. So you've got to specialize and understand in each different market what's available. Now, there are some, obviously, services that are like Vivint or some other ones that are everywhere the same. But like if you got Zoom, totally different state to state, province to province, right? Internet pricing could be different from province to province depending on where it is in Canada. Cell phone plans, that's the same. For example, AT&T is the same all across the country. ID Seal is the same. So it just depends on the service and where you're at. So, but if you're a leader, you understand the difference, okay? So focus on 1 to 2 services. You don't got to master all of them. You don't have to master all of them, but 1 to 2, yeah. There's frequently asked questions. Understand what objections could come up. So understand that. Plus, there's different approaches how you go after the customer. We're going to go through a bunch of them. You don't need to study all of them, the ones we're going to go through today. But master 1 or 2 of them, the ones that you feel the most comfortable, the one that calls to you more, that's what I say, the one that's in your gut says, yeah, I like that one, I feel really comfortable doing that one. Great. Master that one. And then understand the most common asked questions and answer. Understand what they are. And because there's only going to be a few questions when you're getting a customer per service, maybe 2 or 3. As long as you can answer those, boom, it's going to be easy for you to get customers, okay? And obviously referrals are key, and we're going to show you today many different ways in which you can acquire customers. So we talked about the product trainings. Make sure you plug into them, and you'll learn exactly how those works, okay? So for those of you that are new, you guys already know this. Your customer sources originally is going to be you. Prospects who don't become IBOs from your PBZs and PBRs, and those you do business with. We're going to do an in-depth training about that. And then, of course, the other section is going to be everybody else, okay? Now, initial customer sources, we're going to talk about, look, obviously, it's important that you become your own customer. I'm a customer of all the services. Obviously, you don't need to, but why wouldn't you? And the one thing I've learned is I could never get a customer of a service I'm not having myself, because then they're going to ask me, well, how is it? Do you have it? And if I don't have it, how the heck could I ever promote it to anybody? Okay? And so for me, I don't care if I'm in a contract already. I'm just going to, I got to pay whatever I got to pay. I got to get out. I got to do what I got to do because I'm going to lead by example. I'm not going to be at a Mercedes dealership and promoting Porsche. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to work at a Ferrari dealership and promote Mercedes. That doesn't work. And then all of a sudden I'm driving around, well, wait a minute, I thought you sold these cars, right? So you don't want to confuse people that you want to approach because you've got something that we don't sell. They're going to completely doubt what you're doing. Plus, your level of belief will not be high. I have tremendous belief in our services. Why? Because I got everything. I got each and every one. I know the value it brings. I use them every day. I have tremendous belief. One of the biggest things it takes to get customers is belief. Well, you're never going to get it if you're not a prospect, okay? Because imagine you've got a PBZ coming up, and you're inviting people, and then you can say, yeah, I got this service. It is awesome. You got to sign up for it. It is fantastic. Okay, great. Because they're just looking for you to be a testimonial. The best testimonial for your prospects is who? You, right? That's what makes it very, very powerful. Now, let's get to the basics of how we acquire customers. We're going to teach the language and the approach, but first of all, let's talk about the psychology of getting customers. This is important. And this is the part I didn't understand when I first started. And until I remembered one of my old business partners and what he said to me. Okay, so let's talk about this. Most people buy emotionally, not logically, right? If you look at what's happening right now with all this looting in the United States, all this stuff, all that is emotional. It's not logical. To destroy buildings where you live so that you're destroying where you go shopping and where you go get food and where you all stuff, that's not logical. That's emotional. Most people are emotional. Obviously, what's happening is horrible, it's deplorable, right? It is. But at the same time, it's emotional. So if we understand that people are emotional and for the most part not logical, we wouldn't have, $1,200 phones because we don't need them, right? For the most, like those of you that have an iPhone, you maybe use 10% of what that phone can do. So why do you have one? Because it's not a logical decision. It's an emotional decision. Okay, most people are not technical. Yeah, they can use an app. Doesn't mean they're technical, right? They're not understanding exactly how the technology works, how the networks work, how the signal. Most people have no clue about that stuff. Okay, most people don't even understand their bill. They just pay it. It's funny when people try to be experts, and then because we've learned how to read bills, and then we go, so, well, do you know what this is for? And they're like, no. And I said, do you know what this part of your bill's for? No. I thought you understood your bill. I guess I don't. No, obviously you don't. And most people don't even know what they're paying and what it is. So most people are not primarily motivated by savings. Now, you think it'd be the opposite, but look at yourself. Look how many things before you got started in ACN, you were paying for things that you probably didn't even know or how much they were. You didn't even know if it was the best deal or not the best deal out there. If somebody got you on a deal one time, but maybe you don't even know that it's the best deal now. And in fact, if you look at the most expensive companies, they have the most customers. So most people are not motivated by saving primarily, okay? Yeah, is it a part of the equation? Sure, but it's not the primary thing, okay? And people would rather do business with someone they like and trust versus a complete stranger. Now, this is key. This is where we have our benefit. This is how we've acquired millions of customers. That's made ACN who we are today and what gives us the opportunity. And people feel great about supporting a cause. This is also something very important. Why is this important? Because we all love to help make a difference. We all love to support people. We all love to be part of something bigger than ourselves. We feel good when we do that. When we feel part of an organization or something making a difference, it makes a big difference in our heart. It fills up our heart. It makes us feel good that we're changing lives and impacting people. That's why we have Project Feeding Kids. That's why we have all the things, all the initiatives that we do, because we know people love to do that. The owners love to do that. They love to give back and make a difference. So if you understand these 6 points, you understand the psychology behind what we say and how we say it. Okay? So let's get into it. Let's talk about this. Okay? Because now we're going to talk about what is the correct approach that people that all of us take on, I guess, and use to become successful. Okay? So let's talk about the proper approach. The proper approach starts with asking for a favor, not by starting by saying, hey, I'm going to save you some money. Hey, I'm going to bring you better value for your services. Here's what we learned. We learned if you use that approach, most of the time, you're not going to be successful. If you start with the favor approach, most of the time, you'll be successful. Now, look, there is no 100% anything works. That doesn't exist in the world or in business. But there is something called most of the time. And so we want to teach you what works most of the time. And that's asking for a favor and why that works. Now, remember what I said earlier. Why does asking for a favor work? Because now you're asking someone to be a contribution to you. Now, sometimes I come across people, not always, that people have an issue asking for a favor. Okay. Now, I'll tell you a funny story. Wealthy people typically have no problem asking for a favor. Typically, the broker the person is, the more issue they have asking for a favor, in my experience, training thousands of people in ACN. Now, why is that? And I'll go back to my own example. So when I was at one of my very first companies, I brought on a gentleman who was very wealthy, one of the top 10 wealthiest families in Canada. Very, very, very wealthy gentleman. And we started this company, and I brought him in as a shareholder to be able to oversee what we're doing. He's very successful. He's a vice president of one of the biggest companies in the world. Plus, he had his own other companies on the side. Very successful. So for me, it was a coup to get him in to help oversee everything. So after a month of being in the business, being in the company, he said, he comes into my office, knocks on my door, and he said, hey, Franco, I think I've got some really good insight for you about how we're doing so far. I said, great. We've been in the process of hiring a couple hundred people. So we're going through all that. We're excited. We're growing. He walks in, he comes into the office, and he says, Franco, I got bad news for you. I don't think we're going to make it. I was like, what? What do you mean? We're just getting started. We just hired hundreds of people. What do you mean we're not going to make it? Here's what he said. We're not going to make it because you and your ego. It's way too big. You're not going to survive. I'm like, what are you talking about? He gets up. He actually sat right in front of my desk. He gets up, comes next to me, gets on one knee. Now, I'm not going to dramatize it on Zoom. It's kind of hard. But basically what he said was this. He said, listen, he got on his hands and knees right in front of me, and he starts crying. And he goes, oh, please, you got to be my customer. Please, I need your help. Please, you got to feed my family. Please, 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 please. Will you help me? Will you support me? Please, I'll do whatever you want. Please help me out. Because when you can do that, and you can humble yourself like that, we'll be fine. While you're on your high horse, we're going nowhere. I was like, you can imagine, I was like in shock. I was in my late 20s. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? That was my first lesson in humility. And there's a gentleman in his 50s, one of the richest families in Canada, doing that with me. I'm like, but he taught me a very important lesson that day. Swallow the ego, go build your business. And so when I saw this and he said, I learned this, I got it. I understood because it reminded me of this gentleman and what he taught me and what I had learned in business the whole time, which is use favor, share your why. Why is it important for you? Ask for help, and then to try the service. So once we learn that, you understand how this works, it becomes very simple to acquire customers. For the most part, obviously. There's always going to be people that no matter what you tell them, here, I'll give you a kidney if you're dying, and they still wouldn't be your customer. It doesn't make a difference, okay? There's going to be those people that it will not matter no matter what, okay? But if you do it this way, it's very, very powerful. So of all that, asking for the favor is the first part of it, but using your why, sharing your why is going to be critical to all the approaches that we're going to teach you. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just on teaching you how to share your why, because this is critical. Because if you nail this part, I'm telling you, you nail this, getting customers is like a hot knife through butter. Why? Remember when I talked about the psychology of getting customers? What did I talk about? I talked about people love to support a cause. Well, you're the cause. What you're up to, what you're creating, what they're supporting you with. You're going to be talking about what emotionally is happening with you. People think emotionally, so you're going to be reaching out to them at an emotional level, not a logical level, okay? So your friends and family, here's what's key about everything, guys. Your friends and family do not want to be sold. Don't try to sell your friends and family, okay? So here's the way I want you to think about this, and my coach taught me the same thing, okay? He said, imagine there's a law that requires all the providers, all the cell phone providers, all the internet providers, to have the exact same price, no matter what. How would you get the customers? If the price was the same with everybody, every single person, how would you acquire customers? What would you do? What would you do? How would you create this? What would you create? Okay? So that's what I learned. Okay? So I learned, let me go back. I learned that if you acquire customers on price, you will lose them on price. And we want to not only get customers, we want to keep them for life. Like, I'm very proud to say I've never lost a customer unless they became an IBO. Never. Why? Because I didn't acquire them on price. I acquired them sharing my why. And people are inspired to support you and your cause, and it creates loyalty and pride. When they go pay their bill, what I want them to think about isn't the bill they're paying, but the cause that they're supporting with you. That's what I want them to think about. And this is our advantage over the competition. Those companies, all they got is price. They got nothing else. They got nothing. All they've got, because remember, your customers will be called by these companies, right? Oh, I got a better deal. We're going to bundle it. We're going to do this. We're going to, well, good. None of that is emotional. None of that makes any difference. None of that is supporting a cause. None of that makes an impact in their life. What matters is you sharing your why and them getting emotionally connected with you. And we're going to talk more about that later. But this is important, guys. This is our advantage over the competition. So how do you share your why in an effective way? By being authentic, by being real with people. So it involves three things: the circumstances you're dealing with, your current feelings and emotions. For example, I'm stressed out, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm tired, I'm fed up, my health is hurting me, things like that. And then share the next part, which is what are you excited about? I found a potential solution, but I need your help. And this is where you get to the help part. And then we go into one of the approaches, which we're going to talk about in a couple minutes, okay? So let me give you an example. When I first started in ACN, many of you know I was a traditional business owner, running 4 companies and exhausted, tired, sleeping on the couch in my office. Was I making money? Yes, but I was also looking for a different way of life. Now, most people would never have known that about me because I wouldn't go tell people that. I mean, that's like embarrassing, right? So when I first started my first 2 customers, I did not follow the script. Why? Because I was embarrassed. I didn't want to follow the script. I didn't want to humble myself that way. You know, I've got these 4 companies. I'm an entrepreneur. I shouldn't have to do that, right? Wrong. Okay, wrong. So what I did was I called, my first person I called was my cousin, and what I said to him was, hey, I'm going to help you save some money on your service. And he said, well, I'm good. I don't need to save money on my service. Don't worry about it, right? I go, oh my God, this doesn't work. And I called another friend of mine, same result. I called my coach and I go, look, this is not working. I don't know what's going on. He goes, well, what did you say? So I told him what I said. I go, well, that's not what we taught you, first of all. Obviously, we're not paying attention to what we were teaching you. Let's practice it again. And then he asked me for my why. Why are you doing this? I said, well, because I'm sick and tired of what I'm doing. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm stressed out, losing all my hair. At the time, I had a little bit of hair left. Now it's post, right? I was losing all my hair, losing all my stuff. I was exhausted. I was tired. I wanted a better life, praying for a different way to make money. And he goes, okay, good. Tell people that. I go, I can't tell people that. I got these companies. I got an image to protect. But good. I said, well, protect your image. Have a miserable life. Or tell people the truth. Have a great life. Choose. Here's what I said. Well, since you put it that way, I might as well tell the truth because I want a great life. He goes, exactly. So I called back my cousin and I shared my why. I said, listen, I didn't tell you why I'm doing this business that I'm doing. Let me tell you. I got started a new business. Let me tell you what's going on. Okay? So, you know, I'm running these companies. I'm exhausted, and I'm stressed out. I'm losing my mind. On top of that, you know, my dad, your uncle, is going through heart surgery. My mom through a brain tumor, your aunt. And I got to take care of him now. I need your help. Goes, what do you need? To try one of my services. And here's what he said. Why didn't you tell me that before? I'm like, I know, I'm a coconut. I'm sorry. So all of a sudden he became my customer. And then I just went one after the other like that. And I just got a whole bunch of people. Like, it was nonstop. Like I could not get customers. It became so effortless. And then that became like a badge of honor. Sharing my why became a badge of honor for me. And I would tell the whole world, here's why I'm doing it. Here's why I'm building this business. I became so excited. I became an unstoppable customer acquisition machine. So that was powerful. Then I had to go learn how to build team, which is a whole different conversation that we talk about in different trainings, not at this one, okay? This one is just about how to get customers. So that's how the why works, okay? And you want to practice that why. You want to practice exactly how that works with your upline, with your regional director, and it's got to tug your heartstrings. It's got to call you emotionally. And when you're sharing it, it evokes emotion in other people, okay? And then as you're going through people, understand this. 10% of the people you're going to approach, no matter what you say, they'll become a customer just because they're those kind of people. They're those kind of people that just want to help no matter what you're doing, okay? 80% are not like that. 80%, you got to use favor, use your why, help try. You've got to use that. It's very important. And then 10%, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter if you're dying of cancer. It doesn't matter what it is. It will not help you. Move on. Do not get stressed out, okay? It's not get stressed out, okay? Hold on, guys. I gotta mute some people. There we go. Okay? So don't get stressed out. Don't make enemies of family or friends. Don't do that. Just move on. Okay? All right. Now, let's get into it. So these are the approaches that now we use. Okay, these are the approaches that we're going to learn today. There's the customer survey approach, the those who do business with approach, the referral approach, and the community approach. There's different approaches. Okay, and each of these are very, very powerful. So the first speaker that's going to come on, she's a regional vice president. A lot of you guys know her. A lot of you guys work with her. She's amazing, and she has mastered how to use the customer survey. So we have something called the customer survey that you can use for people that come to PBZs or not. And then after she does this training and goes with it and teaches you how to do it, so you can get a gazillion customers, all the customers that you want after somebody sees a presentation or otherwise, I'm going to show you 2 videos that you can use, that you can send people, just literally, say, and what to say and how to say it, so that you can utilize that tool to more easily get people interested in becoming your customer. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you, the first person to talk about the customer survey approach, Regional Vice President, Miss Wendy Saunders. Give her a big hand, guys.
Thank you so much, Franco, and hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm so excited to be on here today, and as I'm listening to Franco train, it just reminded me of where I was at when I got started. So a lot of you know my story. I was in real estate and really looking for more time in my life because I was totally stressed out and burned out. And so got started in ACN. And I'll tell you, it's funny that I'm training on customers today, because when I got started in ACN, this was the part of the business that I was, I guess, nervous to do or didn't do. I was really excited to recruit people, but I wasn't getting customers, and I had created a story in my head about either why I couldn't or what I was afraid of. And now today I love getting customers. So for those of you that are watching, if you're new, you probably have something that you think, oh, I'm not afraid to do this, but I'm afraid to do this. Well, I'll tell you, lean in to what you're afraid to do, because when you're no longer afraid of it, it is amazing. And now today I've been able to get personally, I've gotten 100 customers, and obviously my organization, we've brought in thousands of customers, and I love getting customers, but I wasn't always that way. So I just wanted to tell you guys that. So I'm excited today because I'm going to talk about the customer survey, how to use the survey. This is a way that I have gotten a lot of customers. If you've ever heard my story about when I went to regional vice president, I was... this keeps popping up on my screen, guys. Sorry, hang on. Hold on 1 second. What's happening? I have a weird photo thing that I cannot get rid of. Well, I can't get rid of this. There we go. Okay, so when I made a decision to go to regional vice president, I set a goal, and inside of that goal was PBRs and getting customers. And I set a really kind of outrageous goal, a very unreasonable goal, because I knew that if I didn't do that, I wouldn't stretch and push myself. And so I got, in a very short amount of time, I mean, I'm talking a short window of time of just 2 or 3 weeks, we put in like almost 200 customer points. And the way we did it was really using the customer survey. So I'm going to talk to you guys about that today. So the customer survey is something that you should be using in all of your PBZs. So we use these surveys, and we're getting customers from our nose. Also, these surveys are great because if someone joins your business, it's a way for them to analyze their own services. So getting your customers from your nose is the greatest way to get your customers, but really doing it through your PBZs. You've heard Franco's story about someone showed him the business, they didn't show it, or showed him the services, didn't show him the business, and really made a big mistake. So if I can encourage you to just focus on showing people the business, and you're going to get your customers from those that don't want to join. And remember, there's another category of no's, and that's people that aren't even interested in looking right now. When we call people, we ask them if they're open to looking at other ways of making money or open to looking at something outside of what they're doing. Well, you're going to get people that say no to that question because the timing is not right. So make sure you're keeping a list of no's. And there's a saying that's the fortune is in the follow-up. I believe that the fortune is in the immediate follow-up, because when customers when people see this business, they understand what it is, they understand what you're doing, and it really lacks urgency if you wait to follow up. So I would encourage you to follow up with them as quickly as possible. So where do you find the customer survey? This is found through ACN Compass. You find it through your app, and there's a survey for home services, and then there's a survey for business services, and that's listed under PBR documents on your ACN Compass. And then this is the survey. The survey is going to be a little bit different depending on the market you're in. You know, Franco talked about we're in Arizona right now, so we don't have all these services here, but in a place like Dallas, Texas, maybe they have all the services, or maybe somewhere in Canada, you're somewhere where you don't have all of these services. So just kind of know your marketplace before you start filling out the survey of who you're calling and where they live. But this survey is really simple for you to use. It's a great outline, so you don't have to remember the questions that you need to ask. It's make sure you get the address of the customer, because you're going to need that when you go through these services. It's also great to do this survey with your customer, because they really start to see, like, wow, I spend a lot of money on these services. And so when you're utilizing your PBZs, it gets people thinking about how many services they have and how much money they're paying for those services. So I think that setting goals is really, really important. Goals give you clarity of what you need to do. And when you have clarity, you will take action. So I would set a goal for how many surveys you want to get and where you want to be in the compensation plan. So on here, I've put a picture of what the monthly personal customer bonuses are. So we're entering a new month of June. And, ACN allows us really to dictate our own paycheck with these bonuses. And for many of you right now, with everything that's going on in the world, you could actually go out there and make some money right now by getting your customers. And so you can make a goal. Let's say that you wanted to make $200 this week or this month. Well, set a goal to go out and get your 5 services 10 points, and then you'll get that goal. But inside of setting that goal of how much money you want to make in the month of June, you're also going to be able to move up in the compensation plan with regards to what percentage you're making on your personal customers. So let's say today you're sitting at 40 customer points. Well, I like to set a goal. What's the next benchmark that takes me to the next percentage level? And setting small goals makes them more tangible versus saying, I have to get 200 points and I only have 20. That can be overwhelming, and then maybe you won't do it because you feel so overwhelmed. So let's say you're sitting at 40 points and you're at the benchmark of that. Well, you want to get to the next percentage level. So now your next goal would be to get to 60 points. And then the next goal, and remember, 75 points, Franco just talked about this, unlocks your 5 levels. So don't leave any money on the table. When I got started in ACN, because I was afraid of getting customers, because I wasn't focusing on making that happen in my business, I can tell you this today, I lost a lot of money. I let a lot of money fly out the window because I wasn't paying attention to the compensation plan and knowing exactly where I needed to be. And so I left a lot of money on the table. So we don't want you to do that. So here's the goal that I would set. Maybe as you don't have to make your minimums, your maximums, but print out 10 surveys and set a goal that you're going to get 10 surveys filled out. Now, this means you may have to contact more than 10 people. And just what Franco said, you're looking for people who want to do you a favor and help you out. So just because you call 10 people doesn't mean those 10 are each going to give you a survey. So make it a goal to get 10 surveys filled out. And when you get these surveys filled out, when you make that phone call, it's really important that during that phone call, you actually set the time that you're going to follow up with the customer and go over the survey. Because remember, when you reach out to a customer and you're asking them for a favor and you're asking them to help you with your next promotion, there's urgency in that. Well, if your follow-up doesn't mirror that same urgency, then that's going to fall flat of them helping you. So you want all of that to match. And then for those of you that are newer in the business and you're still unsure of how to analyze these surveys, or even what you might say to a customer when you call them back, get with your coach and review the survey. So you can call, you can get the survey filled out, and then you can say, listen, can I call you back? What's better, tomorrow or Tuesday? What's better for you? Great, I'm going to call you back. And when you call them back, you can have your coach on the phone with you, and they can help you review the survey with the customer. So the customer survey script is all around favor, help, try. And Franco talked about it. No one wants to be sold. Your friends don't want to be sold. This is when they'll run from you. They don't want to be sold. You don't want to sell people, because if you sell them on something, then someone else can sell them on something. So using the favor approach is how you get and keep customers. And when I put in those 100+ points in a matter of 10 days or so,